Okay, this is distressing. My elementary school seems to be missing. What we thought we'd do for the next 2 videos is introduce ourselves, get to know where we come from, what makes us tick, what makes us think the way we think.
Yeah, we've been doing this for almost a year and a half, and we thought we'd just share a little bit of who we are and how we got here.
And maybe that'll give you some insight as to why we're living this crazy lifestyle.
Yeah.
This week is number 79.
It's all about Miriam.
I'm going to show you where I grew up. It looks a little different now. I grew up here. I lived here for 18 years of my life, my first 18 years. And well, the barn looks exactly the same. It was a part of a dairy farm here in Langley, and the house has actually changed colors. They've built a new barn in behind, and they built a milking parlor here. We used to do our milking and everything the old-fashioned way. Across the street from here is an elementary school that wasn't here before. Behind me is the barn. And then there's a giant tree. You can't even see anything past that tree. It's a crazy huge tree. And they paved the driveway. We always had a gravel driveway. There's the garage. And there's the old house. Oh, they made steps up to the house. That never used to be there either. So yeah, this is kind of where I grew up. 40 acres of land, roamed free on the land. My girlfriend lived just up the road by that light, if you can see it. Not the headlights, but just on the other side. There's been a few changes. My parents haven't lived here since the middle of the 80s. About 35 years since Mom and Dad moved out of the old homestead. And yeah, this tree's evidence of that exactly. The front of the house still looks the same, but they've added on a deck out the side on the back, and the house is now blue instead of green. But yeah, that's the old homestead. Just over there, that was one of my girlfriend's house. She moved in when I was 10 years old, and so we hung out for a good 8 years. Part of my history I didn't include when I was at the old homestead was that I actually have 4 siblings, 3 that are older and 1 that is quite a bit younger. He's 10 years younger than I am. So there's a 20-year span between the oldest and youngest in my family, and we all grew up in that same old house. Mom and Dad lived there from probably 1957 until 1986. So that was a long time to live there. That's my siblings, and that's part of what helped frame who I became. So that's the old homestead. We did not have street lights on the road when I was growing up. It was a dark farm road. There was a big bush in behind here. That's where I grew up. I'll show you my elementary school and my high school. Okay, this is distressing. My elementary school seems to be missing. There's a sign that says Murrayville School. I'm gonna go see if any of the buildings still exist, because this was not here last time I drove by here. Okay, so it's been a while, obviously. I swear it was just a few years ago that this was still a school. Now it's a bunch of townhomes. This is really distressing. I'm gonna have to do more research on this. I found out what happened to my elementary school. I went online and looked up some old articles and Googled Murrayville Elementary School. Apparently there's one in the US too. Anyways, so what happened was that in 2008 they had Langley School District had a enrollment crisis, so they decided to shut down the school, and they had opened up, they were starting to transition into where they had middle schools, and so some of the children went to another middle school that they had created, and there was also 2 other elementary schools in the district. So Murrayville was the one with the lowest amount of enrollment, and so they decided to shut it down. That was after 97 years of the school being in operation full time. And then after that, in 2016, the school board decided to sell off 4 schools, Murrayville being one of them. They decided that they needed the money. They weren't using the schools, but they needed the money for building another high school in North Langley. Then in 2018, so 2 years later after they sold off the school, it became the townhouses. But they did, the red building that you saw in front, it is the old school. They moved it. They picked up the old building off its foundation, and which was a really cool basement we used to play in, and they moved it. So that's what happened to my elementary school. And this is my high school. I spent 5 years of my life here. Nothing has changed. I'll just show you it. D.W. Poppy. It looks exactly the same as when I used to go here. It was a junior high originally, and the year that I graduated, 1982, I'm really old. We were the first graduating class, and I got to be Athlete of the Year that year. I played basketball, I did cross country, and participated in track and field, did long jump and triple jump, not high jump. You'd think I'd be able to jump up, but I had a problem with that bar. I kept knocking it down, so decided to take that out of my things I did. I did a lot of sprints, and what I really should have been doing is probably like the 1500s and the 3000 type races. I thought I was a good sprinter, but I was wrong. You learn these things as you grow older. I was not super fast, and but I definitely excelled, especially in triple jump. These long legs of mine, oh yes, triple jump was my my go-to. Anyway, so that's where I went to high school, and this is where my lifeguarding career all started, at Al Anderson Memorial Pool. This is the pool I grew up at from the time I could swim, and we used to ride our bikes down here from where I used to live, which, that was quite a ways. It's a couple of miles. So they've changed the bridge, but the old bridge, well, let's just say it was an old bridge. It used to have a zigzag in it, which was the best fun ever. And we used to play down in that little creek while we were waiting for our rides. And the building has changed a little bit. They have added on to it, and now they have protective doors over top of the glass that was here. But it was all wooden benches, so there used to be benches around here too. The pool used to be right where I'm standing, and now that's a spray park. They've got new fencing around here. We used to have canoes hanging in the cage there. So this is a 8-lane by 25 meters long pool. In the early 90s they changed the pool because the old pool was leaking. Yeah, I was here from 1980, the summer of 1980, working until 1995, and then my career moved into Abbotsford. Every year, every summer I'd be back, and I loved it. We had such a great team, and then the team started moving on to their real jobs, and I moved out to Abbotsford. It just didn't make sense to keep coming back out to Langley, and I managed to get a full-time position in 1996 in Abbotsford, so that was where my career moved to. After high school, I did attend college. I went to Douglas College for one semester, and then my first wonderful surprise showed up. So I had 3 daughters, Miriam, Melissa, and Megan. And my career was raising my kids and working at the pool seasonally, and that went on for several years. Then I attended Kwantlen College for, I can't even remember, several semesters, taking a marketing program, and then life kind of happened, and I got the opportunity to work full-time in my aquatics career, and I just developed that from there. So that's when I ended up in Abbotsford, and what can I say? I retired from there. About my girls are my pride and joy, and I enrolled them in figure skating because when I was a child, we would go skating with our school, and I remember it being the scariest thing ever, and everybody was way better than me, and I didn't want my kids to experience that, so I just wanted them to learn how to skate properly. That got a little bit more than properly. They became quite accomplished skaters. They were involved in every aspect of skating, and very proud of what they learnt and how they developed, and we got to do so many ice shows together, and I started taking lessons after they had been in it for a few years, and I became pretty good. Better than the average person, but then life happened again, and I sort of let it go by the wayside. Tried to pick it up again a few years ago, and it just hasn't been the same. I had shoulder surgery, and then I spent a whole year going, "Don't fall, don't fall," which doesn't help the situation. In addition to that, I've done some triathlons. And I got back into running in 2010. And I've done pretty good with all of those. I mean, I didn't win any great trophies, but I felt pretty proud of myself for completing those. Oh, I met Brent in 2008. So he was kind of the highlight of my 2008. I was not having a great year. And yeah, he just brightened my day. And then we got married in 2013. So we were together for 5 years, and then we decided to marry each other. We were each other's best friends, so we decided to make it official. So that's me in a nutshell. I've had a bit of a life, and I've enjoyed my life so far. Looking forward to many more adventures here in this crazy RV life. And that's it. That's who I am. What makes me tick? It was my kids and all the things we got to do together, and then Brent. Tune in again next week when we're going to talk about Brent. So remember to subscribe, give us a thumbs up if you like what you see, and ring the bell for notifications. Bye for now. So part of my history I didn't include in... Let's start that again. That's it for this week. Stay tuned. Tune in again next week when